Why do we watch movies and shows about war? Is it because we are entirely too attracted to violence and death? Are we fascinated by the fragility of the human condition and curious about what drives men to kill one another? Do we love to see men and women standing up for what is right, putting their lives on the line to defend the greater good in the face of overwhelming odds? Or do we watch because we want to know about the soldiers on the ground, the young men thrust into combat with their brothers in arms? I know my answer. The brotherly bonds forged in combat create a closeness among soldiers that is inescapably interesting. Stories about bands of brothers fighting not just for their cause, but for each other, well, those are the stories worth telling. So it's no wonder I love the game Star Wars Republic Commando, a game where you lead a 4-man team on a series of dangerous missions in service of the Republic during the Clone Wars. Delta Squad is a close-knit, inseparable team made up of commandos with unique personalities.
Delta 4-0, your foundation. A pure and uncomplicated soldier. 6-2, the heart and soul of your team. And 0-7, the fiercest hunter of all your brothers. You are each a piece of a whole person. And the Republic will call you to defend and give your lives if need be.
Throughout the game, you order your squad to provide sniper fire, breach doors, heal themselves, revive you, and they respond to you and your orders. They interact with each other, and they even chirp you or make fun of you if you do something stupid.
Only approach the point when last. Squad leader down.
And that's why there's special training for explosives.
Now.
The game may be fairly light on narrative, but it doesn't matter, because the story is about your team. You get to know each member of Delta Squad, and you come to love them all, which makes the final scene an absolute gut punch, as you are forced to abandon Delta 07 for the sake of the mission. And sadly, the story of Delta Squad never got continued from this point. Technically, the game itself isn't even Star Wars canon, though Delta Squad themselves are, as they show up in one episode of Clone Wars. Why exactly the sequel never happened isn't totally clear, but I would guess it's because the game released in between the original Battlefront and Battlefront 2, so there was only so much appetite for Star Wars FPS games at the time, and Republic Commando just failed to monetarily justify a sequel for itself. Regardless, Delta Squad's story appears fated to have ended forever on a cliffhanger.
Boss, I've got a problem here.
Civ, where are you?
Multiple hostiles.
Lost his signal, boss.
We'll find it again, damn it. Squad, regroup. We're going after Civ.
Negative, 3-8. New orders came through from the Jedi Generals. Clear the area. Evac now.
That is, until episode 14 of The Bad Batch Season 1. In this episode, we see Clone Force 99, at Rex's request, attempting the rescue of Gregor, another clone commando from an Imperial base. And that's when this happens. Watching that for the first time, it happened so fast, I wasn't sure I could believe my eyes. I wanted to see it. That couldn't have been Scorch, right? Then we saw this. All right, that's definitely Scorch, or should I say definitely his character model. The paint job of his armor is the same in the game, for sure, but is it actually Delta 6-2? And honestly, I doubt it. I think it's most likely that Scorch's armor was used on a clone commando mostly just as fan service, so the audience could recognize him as a leader. They wanted an enemy for the Bad Batch that stood out a bit in this scene, so why not use an existing paint job that some fans will know and love? As much as I'd love to say, this confirms that Delta Squad is in the Bad Batch, it just doesn't. This character doesn't say anything, there's no other members of Delta Squad seen or even hinted at, and no one on screen gives any indication that he's anything beyond a highly skilled commando. We do know that he lives, he's just only hit with stuns, and he shows up briefly in the teaser trailer for Season 2, and boy, what a teaser that is. So do I think that Scorch or anyone else from Delta Squad will actually have a substantial role in Season 2? No, I don't, unfortunately. But I have to remain hopeful. And why? Why do I hold on to hope, knowing that I will almost certainly be just crushed with disappointment, even if the season turns out to be great? Well, because Delta Squad and Clone Force 99 just have so much potential together. The characters have some similarities, like Scorch and Wrecker being the fun-loving soldiers with senses of humor, while Fixer and Crosshair are more intense, pure soldiers, but they're different enough to make it work. Their personalities aren't carbon copies of each other, though their bodies are close enough. I guess CT-99s are defective, but whatever. Anyhow, I don't know how all the dynamics would work out. I'm not going to try and write the arc here, but I'd love to see Sev escape captivity and torture, and maybe that torture fried his inhibitor chip and join up with the Bad Batch, who are missing a sniper, and try to rescue Delta Squad from the Empire, try to break them free. I don't know. There's so many ways you could weave them into the plot, but I just think they'd really work well in there. Republic Commando focused so much on the squad dynamic and gave each clone his own personality.
Take him out from here.
Moving to your mark.
We gotta rely on his sniping.
Commence demolitions maneuver, Delta.
Setting demo.
Sev, try not to blow us up this time. Blast! Get that Wookiee out of the fire area! Okay, you tell him to retreat, Fixer.
Negative on that.
Squad lead down!
Maybe you should let 6-2 handle the explosives.
Boss, hold on to your guts while I rip out theirs.
That it made the banter among the squad a similar tone to what is often struck in the Bad Batch. The CT-99s are loose and relaxed with each other. They are accustomed to this degree of freedom, and their demeanors reflect this lack of rigidity that they have in their command structure. For Delta Squad, the same is true to a lesser extent. Scorch and Sev banter about counting kills and each other's proficiencies with snipers or explosives, but you're usually reminded by Fixer and sometimes Boss to shut up and focus on the mission.
Here's hoping they don't surrender.
Stow it, Seven.
Sev, how many kills you got today, Psycho?
With a new wise guy.
Keep this comm clear, you two.
Calm down, Fixer. Just having a little fun.
Ultimately, Delta Squad is beholden to their mission to the Republic, even at the cost of one of their brothers, something I don't think would be true for the Bad Batch at any point, really. And this event, this losing of Sev, would be sure to leave emotional scars on these commandos that could be explored during their appearance on the Bad Batch. In less than 8 hours of gameplay, Delta Squad cemented themselves in my brain as some of my favorite video game characters. Their proficiency with sniper rifles, their humorous interactions with each other.
Do you have to make such a mess?
Rule 17. Always make sure they're dead.
Well, looks dead to me.
It is now.
And their confidence to smack talk me after I throw a grenade into the door made them just come alive and leave an impression on me that has lasted quite some time. Most of all, though, it was their love for each other that made me love them. The jokes, the friendly jabs, and the gut-wrenching reaction to Sev's loss shows how close this squad is, how strong of a bond they've formed. As I said at the beginning, the reason we care about these war stories is not because of the cause, but because of the people fighting. What the Bad Batch has done so right thus far is shown the effects of the Clone Wars on this tight-knit band of brothers. I would love to see them explore how the same events damage and fracture Delta Squad and what those two squads can do to heal their wounds.
Just like the simulator.
I love my job.